This stretch of sea was the largest ocean of the immortal aura, its waves raging year-round, cloaked in endless mist that veiled the heavens. Mortals could never cross it, and even cultivators, unless they possessed exceptional cultivation, found it impossible to break through these waters. It had become a natural barrier, making it difficult for the ancient immortal era to reach each other's lands. Bordering this vast ocean was the northern continent of the immortal clan. Within that frozen land of 10,000 miles lay the continent's northernmost region, known as the Fierce Cold Continent. Though not vast in size, it was almost entirely blanketed in snow. The cultivators who lived there were accustomed to such climate. Their cultivation methods all revolved around the power of ice and frost. Mortals were scarce in that land, and the farther north one went, the rarer they became. To the north of this continent stretched the vast misty sea. From above, looking down upon the fierce cold continent, one could clearly see it as a massive block of ice drifting at the ocean's edge, battered day and night by the waves, yet never melting. Even the waters surrounding its shores often gave birth to new layers of ice, drifting with the tides far into the sea. Within a million-mile radius around this borderland, no living beings could be found. Even cultivators rarely set foot here, for the chill was too cruel. After all, cultivators were still flesh and blood. Here, even their blood would freeze to ice water, making survival impossible for long. The wind howled, carrying snow that whirled high into the heavens before scattering with the gales, drifting back to earth like goose-feather flakes. Amid this boundless snowstorm, three figures gradually emerged, treading step by step across the distant white expanse. The one leading wore a straw raincoat. His hair was stark white, snowflakes caught in his strands. His raincoat, too, was covered with a thick layer of snow, which fell away with each step only to be replaced by fresh flakes. Behind him followed two others. One looked at first glance like an elder, but upon closer inspection, his features resembled a middle-aged man. His head was covered in frost, his body shivering violently. Cupping his hands to his mouth, he exhaled white mist for warmth, but his eyes, when glancing at the person beside him, were filled with envy. Upon his shoulder rested a small snake, yet its form resembled that of a dragon. It lay lazily curled up, but whenever it sensed the man was about to freeze stiff, it exhaled a warm breath, allowing him to keep going. The last figure was a burly man, or more precisely, a thin youth so bundled in thick layers of cotton-padded clothes that he appeared stout and clumsy. He trudged along with exaggerated steps, sinking deep into the snow with each footfall and then struggling to heave himself out again. Though the air was freezing, beads of sweat formed on his brow, steaming into white mist, an oddly comical sight. The crunch of snow underfoot was devoured by the howling wind, leaving behind only fleeting footprints soon erased by drifting snow. Yet the echoes of their voices circled back, resisting the storm's attempt to swallow them. Your Grandpa Su is always the clever one. Back in the Abode realm it was like this, and here on the immortal firmament continent, it's still the same. Jin Biao, if you want to compete with your Grandpa Su, you'll never measure up. The youth swaddled in layers of cotton puffed his chest, wiping sweat from his forehead with smug pride. So hot. This blazing summer heat, unbearable. Jin Biao, aren't you hot? Why am I so damn hot? Beside him, the man, Lu Jin Biao, glared daggers at Su Ligua. He opened his mouth to retort, but a gust of icy wind lashed across him, making him shudder violently. Even his face was tinged with blue. Huh? Jin Biao, on such a hot day, why are you shivering? Don't tell me you're cold. Come now, stop pretending. You can't fool me. Your Grandpa Su has seen everything during these years in the ancestral city. Treasures, good wine, fine food, not to mention Little Peach Blossom, Little Peach Red, and Little Peach Blue to warm my bed. Life's been bliss. But you, Jin Biao, how have you been these years? Su Ligua put on a look of feigned kindness, though the gleam of triumph in his eyes made Lu Jin Biao want to lunge at him. Ah, these clothes are too much, it's sweltering. Jin Biao, you really do look cold though. But no matter, your Grandpa Su is your good brother. I'll give you. Su Ligua trailed off deliberately, casting a sly glance at Lu Jin Biao. Jin Biao froze, his expression shifting with a flicker of hope. Su Ligua chuckled slyly, then continued. I'll give you a bit of imagination. Let me describe these priceless garments. If you picture them well enough in your mind, maybe you won't feel cold. Aren't you walking the deception path? Then deceive yourself. Convince yourself you're wearing layers upon layers of warm clothes. That'll do the trick. With a theatrical shake of his head, Suligwa stroked his bulky clothes, speaking with mock gravity. This coat here is a true treasure, woven from heavenly cotton, generating warmth on its own. I snatched it from the Qin clan. This cotton-padded jacket is also a treasure. Feels like hugging a ball of fire. I tricked Prince Wang into stealing it from the Zhao family for me. This one, and this one. Suligwa went on introducing item after item, but before he could finish, Lu Jinbiao suddenly bellowed. Suligwa, what? You calling for your grandpa Su now? What's the matter? You planning to snatch it right in front of the master? Huh? Come on then, little Biao, you've grown some guts, eh? Suligwa glared and was about to roll up his sleeves. Only the clothes he wore were far too thick. After pulling up one layer, there were still countless more. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't finish rolling them up. Master, you see him. I. After glaring at Suligwa, Lu Jinbiao quickly turned to Wang Lin, who walked ahead without paying them the slightest attention, and began pleading. Master, don't mind him. He said it himself. He wanted to train his body and improve his cultivation. Please, Master, just keep walking. The ground is slippery with snow. Don't worry about us. It's fine. Little Su can handle himself. Suligwa immediately plastered on a fawning smile, hurried a few steps to catch up behind Wang Lin, and while walking, even raised his hand to knead Wang Lin's shoulder through the raincoat. With a triumphant grin, he turned his head and shot Lu Jinbiao several vicious glares. Trying to fight for a place in the master's heart against your grandpa Su? Bah, you little Biao aren't qualified. When your grandpa Su was already following the master, you were still somewhere sucking on milk. Suligwa's divine sense lashed out. You, what about me? It was my idea to suggest to Master that since our cultivation wasn't strong enough, it'd be best to walk through this freezing northern continent on our own strength. That way we'd not only temper our will, but also slightly improve by circulating our cultivation constantly. It's a good thing. It was my suggestion. What of it? Sure, my cultivation's not as high as yours. Without that dumb dragon helping you, I'd freeze. I'm scared of the cold, so I wear a padded coat. Why are you angry about that? If you had a padded coat, you'd wear it too. Suligwa snorted. Just as the two were about to start bickering again, Wang Lin frowned. Ever since the two had appeared, they hadn't stopped quarreling. Enough. Lu Jinbiao, if you can't endure any longer, I can place you in the storage dimension. Wang Lin halted and looked back at Lu Jinbiao, who was shivering violently. I can't let Suligwa have the master all to himself. Who knows what slander he'd spread about me. Lu Jinbiao clenched his teeth and quickly shook his head. Master, I can still endure. His body trembled, and even his voice shook. Suligwa, take off a few coats and give them to Lu Jinbiao. Wang Lin could see through both their thoughts at a glance. He turned and continued walking ahead. Grumbling, Suligwa pulled off a few padded coats and tossed them to Lu Jinbiao, who hurriedly put them on. The two glared at each other again, cursing with their eyes before hastening to catch up to Wang Lin. Time passed. Wang Lin was in no rush. He walked slowly across the northernmost edge of the immortal firmament continent, heading toward the vast misty sea. As the cold grew more unbearable, even Suligwa could no longer withstand it. Wang Lin flicked his sleeve, wrapped the two up, and with a single stride vanished. When they reappeared, it was at the edge of the fierce cold continent. Before them stretched a dark, turbulent sea, its surface dotted with drifting icebergs that crashed against one another with thunderous roars. Beyond this sea lies the Gu clan. Wang Lin casually waved his hand, sending Lu Jinbiao and Suligwa into the storage dimension. Alone, he stood in silence for a moment before his body flickered. When he appeared again, he was standing atop a massive iceberg. He turned back to gaze toward the lands of the immortal clan. As he looked, memories rose before his eyes, moments since he had first arrived in the immortal clan. These memories, like the icy winds of the sea, lifted strands of his white hair. With each flutter, they slipped away into the past. The iceberg beneath him drifted farther with the waves, slowly carrying him away from the land of the Immortal clan. In his eyes, that land gradually blurred. He stood there, watching the hazy horizon, watching the Immortal clan fade into the distance. Vaguely, he thought he saw many familiar faces. Yet as the distance grew, those faces too dissolved into mist, indistinguishable. "Madman, when I return again." He did not finish the words in a whisper. Instead, his eyes shone with unyielding resolve. No one knew how long he stood there. At last, when the Immortal clan's lands disappeared completely from his sight, all he could see was the vast, surging sea. At the edge of the sky, the sun sank into the horizon, casting a fiery crimson glow. The burning clouds seemed to bid farewell. When darkness fell, Wang Lin turned away. "Master Xianluo, your disciple has come." His eyes gleamed. He took a step, his figure blurred, and vanished from the iceberg without a trace. The sea slowly lost its icy chill. It grew damp, restless, waves rising higher and higher, as if some colossal beast stirred in its depths, one strong enough to lift the entire ocean's blue and replace the heaven's azure. A colossal sea dragon surged across the waves, its movements swift and agile, faster even than its flight. Upon its head sat a white-robed figure in meditation. Wang Lin did not employ the shrinking earth technique to hasten his journey to the 36 prefectures of the Gu clan. Instead, he let the sea dragon carry him forward. Seated cross-legged, he circulated his cultivation and steadied his breath. This time, going to the Gu clan should not carry the threat of life and death. After all, Master Xianluo is there. After a long while, Wang Lin opened his eyes. The sky above stretched boundless and clear, the sunlight warm as it fell upon him. In the Gu clan, I must quiet my heart. In silent cultivation, I will fulfill my promise to Master, to protect the Tao ancient lineage, to safeguard his reincarnation. For in truth, I belong to the Gu clan's path of cultivation. His expression grew wistful, and he let out a soft sigh. It's a pity. In the Immortal clan, I never found Qing Shui, never found Situ, and never found Li Qianmei. That remains my regret. Forget it. When I return to the Immortal clan again, perhaps I'll find them. He sighed inwardly. Before leaving, he had spread out his divine sense in search of them, but in the end, he had found nothing. I will not go to the primordial ancient bloodline or the extreme ancient bloodline. Instead, I will head for the ancient Tao imperial city. I wonder how it compares with the ancestral city of the Immortal clan. In silence, Wang Lin gazed into the distance. My cultivation is still insufficient. I must enter seclusion within the Gu clan and strive to become a grand heavenly venerable as soon as possible. Only then can I fulfill my agreement with Master and begin the search for Xun'er's soul. At the thought of Li Muwen, sorrow flickered in his eyes. Xun'er, where is that fragment of your soul? Only when your soul is whole again can I hope to awaken you. Wang Lin let out another sigh. Lifting his right hand, he clawed at the air, tearing open a rift that revealed his storage dimension. In the past, he had been unable to open it without risk of damage, but now it came effortlessly. The rending force between the abode realm and the immortal firmament continent no longer threatened his storage dimension. He could completely counteract it. With a flash of blood-red light, the blood sword, once famed throughout the abode realm under his name, emerged, floating before him. In the sunlight, it exuded a chilling, murderous aura. This weapon belongs to the Tao Gu clan. Wang Lin traced its blade lightly with his hand. Under his touch, the murderous aura seemed almost joyful, winding through the gaps between his fingers. It also belonged to Yimo. In the final inheritance from Yimo's severed head, I promised to care for his descendants. On this journey into the Tao Ancient, I must find them. With a flick of the blood sword, a torrent of scarlet light roared skyward. After a long while, a muffled thunder echoed from above. With my current cultivation, I can draw out this sword's full power with ease. The sword trembled violently, booming within. Its surface cracked as though shedding a layer of skin. From it burst a more dazzling crimson radiance. Now, Wang Lin clearly saw the faint sealing layer that veiled it. With a casual motion, he shattered that seal. Freed, the blood sword's aura grew fierce, murderous aura flooding outward like a storm, engulfing 1,000 miles of sea. Within that storm, a colossal shadow flickered into view, the phantom of a Gu clan warrior. Clad in armor, the figure gripped a long, slender blood sword in its right hand, the blade coiling with murderous aura, as if it sought to rend the heavens themselves. Yimo's homeland, Master's dwelling, the Tao ancient lineage, the place I must protect. What kind of land will it be? Wang Lin gazed at the blood sword. Once he sheathed it, the phantom dispersed, revealing once more the clear sky above. After absorbing fragments of the immortal extreme sword, completing the metal origin, and achieving 5 elements unification, my cultivation has risen again. Wang Lin's path differed entirely from others. What he sought was origin sources. Each one raised his cultivation further. With the metal origin perfected, his cultivation leapt from the mid-void tribulation stage to the late void tribulation stage. Added to the partial inheritance of the immortal progenitor, he could, when unleashing his full might within the Forbidden Palace, summon forth the outline of the heavenly venerable sun behind him. My slaughter lightning true body, nourished by 5 origins, is complete. My 5 elements avatar has also reached perfection. Next comes the void origin. If I can comprehend 2 more void origins, I will reach the perfect void tribulation stage. Yet, enlightenment of the void origins is exceedingly difficult. In all my years, I've comprehended only 3. Lost in rare tranquility, Wang Lin's eyes deepened in thought as he mapped out the future of his cultivation path. If relying on comprehension of the virtual origin is the only way to improve my cultivation, then my future path will be painfully slow. It may take countless years before I can advance again. Wang Lin furrowed his brow. Beneath him, the sea dragon swam across the surface, cleaving through the waves and leaving behind a long white trail. The sea churned and rolled, yet Wang Lin only glanced at it before returning to contemplation about the road ahead for his cultivation. This won't do. If things continue like this, who knows when I'll regain the power to return to the immortal clan. My cultivation path is different from others. Perhaps there's another way for me to continue advancing. Lost in thought, time slipped by quietly. Days later, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes, a trace of fatigue showing within them. If I cannot rely on the virtual origin, then I will treat it as a path for long-term comprehension. In the meantime, I must focus on perfecting the 5 elements avatar and the slaughter lightning true body. For the 5 elements avatar, I have already condensed the true bodies of water, fire, and earth, leaving only metal and wood. Based on my deductions from these past few days, if I can condense the true bodies of metal and wood as well, then my 5 elements avatar will truly live up to its name. If I succeed, there's at least a 50% chance I can raise my cultivation without relying on the virtual origin, reaching perfect void tribulation. Though my battle strength will be somewhat diminished due to the incomplete virtual origin, once it becomes complete, my power will erupt in a single, overwhelming surge. Next comes the slaughter lightning true body. The lightning origin has already formed its true body, but the other 4 origins, slaughter, primordial beginning, silent annihilation, and seal, are still only at great completion. If I can condense them as well, making the slaughter lightning true body perfect, my cultivation might surpass void tribulation entirely. But this path will only reveal its outcome once the metal and wood true bodies are complete. Wang Lin fell into deep contemplation, and a decision formed about the future. As for the outline of the heavenly venerable sun, its appearance is tied closely to the portion of immortal progenitor's power I inherited. That inheritance didn't increase my cultivation, but it did allow me to condense this sun when unleashing my full strength. With it, my battle power surges dramatically. It also compensates for the gap left when the heavenly ox soul armor shattered. With my current cultivation and strength, I should be number 1 under the great heavenly venerates. Even against a grand heavenly venerable, as long as they don't burn their own sun, I can still fight. If my analysis is correct, once I fully condense the 5 elements avatar and raise my cultivation further, I should even be able to fight a grand heavenly venerable who burns their sun. And once the slaughter lightning true body is perfected, there will be very few among the grand heavenly venerables who could defeat me. If by then I can comprehend the 4th virtual origin, reincarnation, as I realized back in Donglin's sect, then, By finding my true self amidst countless dream illusions, I can unlock the fifth virtual origin. When that time comes, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed brightly. The Grand Heavenly Venerables will no longer be my match. After all, the Heavenly Supreme and the Transcendent Heavenly Venerable are merely transitions between Void Tribulation and the Grand Heavenly Venerable. A transition that can exist, or not. Besides, I still have the Void Avatar within the Immortal Aura's emptiness. It's still growing and must not be used unless absolutely necessary. What I need is time. Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes again, immersing his consciousness in the storage dimension. There, he continued to study the immortal progenitor's head he had kept all along. He faintly sensed that once he could fully merge this head into the outline of the heavenly venerable sun within him, that blurred outline would become solid. And when it did, he could use this sun to become the true 10th Grand Heavenly Venerable of the Immortal Aura. In his storage dimension, two other items floated, a single strand of white hair and a fist-sized head brimming with death energy. Both objects stirred a deep sense of familiarity in Wang Lin, yet he could never pinpoint their source. Day after day passed. The waves on the sea grew wilder, carrying a faint trace of the immortal astral law, a force that barred passage between the ancient immortal era and the present. But to Wang Lin, this force was far weaker than what existed within the immortal aura's void. He ignored it, letting his aura spread out and envelop the sea dragon, driving its speed ever faster. Up above, a black dip streaked across the sky. It was the mosquito beast. Released by Wang Lin, it chirped joyfully, following him toward the Gu clan's lands. Months later, when Wang Lin finally opened his eyes again, he saw the end of the ocean. Ahead stretched a vast black land. Unlike the immortal clan's territory, which was suffused with immortal spirit chi, this black land of the Gu clan radiated an austere and desolate power. Unlike the immortal clan, known for its delicacy and beauty, this land was vast and rugged. The black earth beneath one's feet carried a natural weight that pressed down on the heart. And yet, that same boundless sky and endless land dissolved the oppression at the horizon's edge, as if breathing in the aura of the Gu clan itself, allowing one's spirit to meld into it. Unlike the immortal clan, with its 5 continents under a single imperial throne, the Gu clan followed an uncompromising monarchy, like a nation carved into 3 realms of bloodlines: the Tao Ancient, the Primal Ancient, and the Extreme Ancient. The power of the 3 ancient emperors surpassed even that of an immortal emperor. Here, imperial authority was absolute, an invisible pressure blanketing the land and weighing on the hearts of all Gu clan members. If the immortal clan's imperial palace were in danger, its residents would flee without hesitation. No one would fight to the death for it. But in the Gu clan, should such a moment come within an imperial palace, only 2 outcomes could exist. 1. The invader dies. 2. The entire clan perishes. This was the Gu clan. This was the imperial power mocked by the immortal clan, yet secretly coveted by every generation of immortal emperors across endless ages. The ancient emperor was the heavens themselves, the embodiment of the ancient ancestor. His bloodline was sacred, untouchable by any force. Among the Gu clan, bloodline was the supreme honor. Even a grand heavenly venerable held no right to depose an ancient emperor. In cultivation, the grand heavenly venerable stood at the peak, guardian of a lineage. But in authority, the ancient emperor's command alone bound every clansman. If a grand heavenly venerables will clashed with the emperor's decree, the clansmen would follow their emperor without question, far outweighing the venerable's influence. This stood in stark contrast to the immortal clan, where even a grand heavenly venerable like Jiudi dared to scheme against, or even attempt to kill, an immortal emperor. But within the Gu clan, though grand heavenly venerables wielded supreme cultivation, none would ever harm their emperor. This ancient law was sealed by the mightiest of the immortal aura's grand heavenly venerables from the sacred land, who had safeguarded the 3 ancient clans since time immemorial, empowering those who could rise as emperors. At the center where the 3 lineages converged lay the sacred land of the Gu clan, the seat of their greatest grand heavenly venerable. Wang Lin had learned fragments of this through Xian Luo in the Abode realm, through the twin grand heavenly venerables of the Violet Sun sect, and from the ancient scrolls they guarded. Thus, as he stepped onto this land, he was no longer as lost as when he first entered the Immortal clan's domain. Yet the Gu clan's territory was vast. Wang Lin carried no jade slip map to guide him to the Dao ancient imperial city. He would need to find one before he could travel there with certainty. The three ancient clans. The primordial ancient are the strongest, the extreme ancient the most united, the Dao ancient hold the largest numbers, yet they are the weakest. Walking across the black soil, Wang Lin breathed deeply of this land. He crouched, scooping a handful of earth to his nose. Within it, he felt a power that stirred his Gu clan bloodline. Master, your disciple has arrived in the Gu clan. Wang Lin rose and continued forward. Before him, near the sea, rose a massive city built entirely of black stone. From afar, its form looked rough, yet an undeniable dominance radiated outward, as though embedded in every building and every Gu clansman's core. Within the city, everything was immense and imposing. Gu clansmen hurried through the streets. Some, clad in leather armor, barked orders as they moved. At their sight, others paled and quickly stepped aside. Outside the gates, crowds surged like tides, lending the place a vibrant, chaotic life. From a distance, Wang Lin did not enter. Instead, he observed the Gu clansmen passing by. Among them he saw ancient demons, ancient devils, even ancient gods. Though their bodies appeared normal, the star marks etched in their brows or eyes gave Wang Lin a sense of familiarity. It was the first time he had seen so many Gu clansmen gathered in one place. By the gates, 7 or 8 leather-armored men stood guard. Each bore star marks, 5 or 6 in number, that glimmered faintly. Their faces carried impatience as their sharp gazes swept the crowd. Occasionally, they barked cold orders. Hurry up. Those behind, move faster. In half a stick of incense, the city will be sealed. Once inside Blackstone City, scatter at once. The city will be under lockdown for 3 days. No one leaves without the city lord's order. At their shouts, the once boisterous gate grew silent. Those approaching quickened their steps to enter. In less than half a stick of incense, the area outside the city gates had already become desolate. Compared to the bustle from moments ago, the contrast was stark. Those Gu clan members who had entered the city had all hurriedly scattered, and soon, there were barely any figures to be seen inside the city. The only ones visible were nearly 100 burly men in leather armor, stationed at seemingly key points throughout the city. Their gazes shifted between the city gates and a towering structure at the very heart of the city. Perhaps because the emptiness made him stand out, Wang Lin's figure, not far away, caught the attention of the 7 or 8 burly men stationed outside the gates. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he withdrew his gaze from the city and turned to leave. This city had no true powerhouses, and what he sought was a detailed map, jade slip. Such items could only be found on powerful individuals. But just as he turned, a shout came from behind him. Stop! 2 of the 7 or 8 men strode out. Both possessed the bodies of ancient gods, each bearing 5-star marks at their brows as they approached with heavy steps. Wang Lin frowned slightly, then chose to stop and turn to face them. Who are you, and where are you from? One of the men barked sharply, his gaze fierce. Wang Lin replied evenly. You've been standing here for quite some time without entering the city. Show us your identity token, the other man demanded, stretching out his right hand while staring intently at him. And reveal your clan mark, added the first man. Wang Lin smiled faintly. Slowly, 9-star marks appeared at the center of his brow, glowing with a ghostly light, making him indistinguishable from any Gu clan member. The instant the 9 stars appeared, both men froze. Their pupils constricted, and they instinctively staggered back several steps before cupping their fists respectfully toward him. Greetings, Sacred Lord. We did not know you had arrived, and spoke rudely before. Please punish us as you see fit. Their expressions turned extremely reverent, even tinged with fervor. Their sudden change immediately drew the attention of the remaining 5 men at the gates. When they saw the 9-star marks on Wang Lin's brow, their faces changed drastically. They quickly stepped forward and bowed deeply. Greetings, Sacred Lord. Wang Lin was somewhat surprised, but kept his composure. In truth, he knew little about the Gu clan. Only their general geography and basic structure, but nothing about their customs or how their identities were ranked. So revealing the 9-star ancient god makes them call me Sacred Lord? Then perhaps, among the Gu clan, 9-star ancient demons are called demon sages, and 9-star ancient devils are called demonic saints. Wang Lin speculated. I only inherited part of Yimo's legacy, and much of his memory remains unclear. All I know is that the Gu clan, regardless of lineage, is composed of ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient devils. I wonder, if someone bears all 3 nines, ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient devil, what title they would be given. As he pondered this, he recalled how he had received soul blood and the ancient ancestors' recognition while enduring the second decay tribulation of the Gu clan in the Abode realm. Over the years, though he had not deliberately cultivated his Gu clan body, time alone had brought him to the peak of all 3 paths, each at 9 stars, though he rarely revealed it. Judging by their reaction, reaching 9 stars in the Gu clan must be rare, or perhaps it's simply because this place is remote, Wang Lin mused, a smile appearing on his face. It's fine. Do you have a map jade slip? Wang Lin asked casually. His words were in the tongue of the Gu clan, a language few of the Immortal clan could understand. The man blinked, then, without saying anything more, slapped his chest with his right hand. At once, a jade slip manifested in his palm. Such jade slips were used throughout even the ancient Immortal era, though the aura needed to record and open them differed. This jade slip is incomplete, my lord. It only shows the general area, the man said respectfully, offering it. Wang Lin accepted it and swept it with his ancient clan power. As the man had said, it was very simple, detailed only about a few nearby prefectures, growing increasingly vague farther out. But with this map and what he had previously learned, Wang Lin now confirmed that the Gu clan's territory consisted of 36 prefectures. The 12 northernmost belonged to the primordial ancient bloodline. The other 2 branches, the extreme ancient bloodline and the Dao ancient lineage, occupied the lower regions in a triangular formation. This Blackstone city lay on the edge of Muzang Prefecture, a territory of the primordial ancient bloodline. Why has this city been sealed off? Wang Lin asked as he held the jade slip. Reporting to the Sacred Lord, one of the 2 men before him answered hurriedly. We are under the city lord's orders to clear all 4 gates of Blackstone City within 1 stick of incense to welcome Crown Prince Jidu and the Ancient Path Envoy Group. Ancient Path Envoy Group. I just came out of seclusion, so I know nothing about this matter. Tell me in detail. A subtle glint flickered in Wang Lin's eyes. The burly man showed no hesitation and respectfully began to explain. This Ancient Path Envoy Group. I don't know much, only that it was dispatched by the Dao ancient royal family. Over the centuries, they have searched throughout the Gu clan for beautiful women. It is said that the Emperor of Dao Ancient is selecting concubines. Selecting concubines? Wang Lin was momentarily stunned. He didn't think too deeply about it, but felt it absurd that the future Emperor of the Dao Ancient lineage, whom he was meant to protect, would send envoys to the other 2 ancient kingdoms just to choose concubines. Still, since I've run into members of the Dao Ancient lineage here, they must have detailed maps of the Dao Ancient's 12 prefectures. That saves me the trouble of searching further. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin was about to ask more questions when his expression shifted. He raised his head toward the city and heard footsteps from within. Soon, 2 groups of Gu clan soldiers in blue armor marched quickly out of the city gate. There were nearly 1,000 of them. Once they appeared, they immediately formed ranks outside the gate, emanating a murderous aura. Then, 3 figures emerged from within. The first was a towering man, more than 3 meters tall, wearing golden armor and a crimson cloak. His very presence radiated authority as he strode forward. To his left was a middle-aged man dressed like a scholar in a green robe, with an elegant, refined bearing. He was remarkably handsome, with a short, 3-pronged beard, pale skin, and a black fan in his hand. Yet, despite his outward grace, his eyes carried a strange, unsettling glimmer. Especially his left eye, where a misty swirl lingered, eerie and unnatural. The last was a youth in black clothes, his face cold and expressionless, though his hidden savagery and bloodlust were unmistakable. Standing there, He seemed to burn with fire, though the flames were icy cold. The two clearly followed the golden-armored giant as their leader. When he led the soldiers out and took his place at the front, he suddenly sensed something, snapped his head around, and locked eyes on Wang Lin. Not only him. The other two also turned at the same instant, their gazes fixing on the 9-star marks at Wang Lin's brow. For a brief moment, their eyes flickered. Greetings, Sacred Lord City Master, Demon Sage, Demonic Saint. The two leather-armored men beside Wang Lin, along with 5 others outside the city, dropped to one knee without hesitation, paying their respects. But the golden-armored giant ignored them. Instead, he studied Wang Lin, confusion in his eyes. This clansman looks unfamiliar. I am Liang Yun, City Master of Blackstone City. May I ask, have you come here seeking help? He clasped his fists toward Wang Lin. I am Kong Si. The middle-aged man in green smiled faintly, folding his fan and returning the courtesy. The black-clad youth, however, only swept his gaze coldly across Wang Lin, silent and aloof. My name is Wang Lin. I happened to pass through this place. Hearing that Crown Prince Ji Du and the Ancient Path Envoy group were nearby, I stayed to take a look. If it is inconvenient, I can leave at once. Wang Lin smiled and clasped his fists politely. Despite his high cultivation and status, Wang Lin showed no arrogance. His nature had always been that if others treated him with courtesy, he would return it in kind. A guest is a guest. Brother Wang, stay and wait with us. Liang Yun laughed heartily, his manner bold and open. Sensing the ancient god power within this giant, Wang Lin felt an unexpected sense of kinship. He smiled as he stepped forward to stand beside the 3 men. Brother Wang, you too are a sacred lord. You must have already endured the second decay and should be in the stage of demon and devil fusion. How goes your progress? Liang Yun asked with a smile. Demon and devil fusion? Wang Lin's heart stirred, though outwardly he remained calm. With a slight smile, he shook his head without speaking. The path of integration and fusion is no easy feat from the look of him. He has no trace of demonic or devilish aura, clearly still exploring. Liang Yun, your question was as good as pointless. The black-clad youth finally spoke, his voice cold and filled with disdain as he glanced at Wang Lin. Meng Luo, Liang Yun frowned. After a sharp look at the black-robed youth, he turned back to Wang Lin with a wry smile. Brother Wang must have noticed. This Meng Luo is the demonic saint. His temperament can be a bit unpleasant. Please don't take offense. The truth is, this art of integration and fusion is incredibly difficult. Even I, Liang Yun, have made little progress. His face carried genuine apology. It's no matter. Wang Lin smiled lightly, showing he was unbothered by such trivialities. The group chatted idly for a while longer. The golden-armored warrior and the demon sage Kong Si seemed to be testing for clues about Wang Lin's origins, but in the end, they learned nothing. Gradually, the conversation faded, and silence settled among them. After a short stillness, Wang Lin seemed to sense something. He casually lifted his head toward the sky. Kong Si, who had been watching him all along, noticed his movement and also looked upward, but saw nothing. Just as Kong Si was about to lower his gaze, his expression froze. At that very instant, the golden-armored man and the youth in black also looked skyward, their faces showing both reverence and fanaticism. In the heavens, the clouds shifted violently. Ripples spread outward in all directions as a deafening roar exploded. A colossal fist appeared out of thin air, slamming against the firmament. With each thunderous impact, the sky seemed to crack apart. The fissures widened, until at last, 2 enormous hands tore it open, ripping a massive rift across the heavens. From beyond the shattered veil stepped a titanic azure shadow, tens of thousands of feet tall, with a single horn upon its head. The figure wore azure armor and exuded boundless demonic aura. The aura was so dense it condensed into a shrouding mist that spread endlessly, swallowing the world around it. It was an ancient demon. Blood-red eyes blazed with feral rage. The moment it appeared, it threw back its head and unleashed a sky-shaking roar. Striding forth from the rift, it stamped one massive foot upon the earth, shaking the land with a booming quake. The impact sent a violent shockwave sweeping outward, rolling dust into a storm that surged like crashing waves. Wang Lin's heart trembled as he stared at the ancient demon, eyes gleaming sharply. This isn't an ordinary ancient demon. He could tell at a glance. In the abode realm, he had seen ancient demons before. Like the ancient gods, they could disguise themselves as ordinary mortals unless revealing their true forms. Even then, they retained their reason. They never descended into madness. But this one was different. The demonic aura pouring from its body was overwhelming, a power comparable to that of a heavenly supreme cultivator of the immortal clan. Greetings, Crown Prince. As the colossal ancient demon roared at the heavens, the golden-armored warrior, the demon sage, and the black-robed youth all dropped to one knee, their voices filled with reverence. Behind them, nearly 1,000 soldiers also knelt, their faces alight with fanatic devotion. Even within the city gates, everyone who witnessed the ancient demon fell to their knees, trembling in awe. Only one man remained standing, Wang Lin. The golden-armored warrior, kneeling on one knee, noticed this at once. Shock flashed across his eyes, followed quickly by disbelief. Kong Si too was stunned, and even the youth in black looked on in horror. How could a mere crown prince demand Wang Lin's kneeling? Not even a grand heavenly venerable could make him bow. Even before the immortal emperor, a cup-fist salute was enough. Calmly, Wang Lin gazed at the raging ancient demon. Upon its head stood a man clad in an imperial robe. His long black hair streamed behind him, and though his features were ordinary, his presence carried an indescribable nobility. Behind him stood a young woman in a blue dress. She couldn't have been very old. Her eyes fell upon Wang Lin, revealing a trace of astonishment. The robed youth also noticed Wang Lin, the only one still standing. His eyes lingered for a moment. Then, as another rumble shook the sky, he lifted his gaze upward, ignoring Wang Lin. From the same rift above, another massive shadow emerged. Though slightly smaller, only 10,000 feet tall, its form was unmistakable. Black from head to toe, with 2 horns atop its head, it was an ancient demon. Its eyes blazed red, brimming with madness and cruelty. Roaring, it strode forth and planted its feet upon the earth. Upon its head stood 7 figures, 5 men and 2 women. They clasped their fists in salute toward the youth atop the first ancient demon. Then, as their eyes swept the ground below, they were immediately drawn to Wang Lin, the lone figure still standing. "Forgive my clansman's disrespect," the youth in the imperial robe said with a faint smile to the 7 atop the second ancient demon. Then he turned his gaze downward, toward the golden-armored warrior, whose heart was shaken by Wang Lin's defiance. "Liang Yun, is this one of your new recruits?" "Crown Prince, this man is a stranger to me," Liang Yun replied hurriedly, his eyes flashing with fury and killing intent. "He appeared here only just now, saying he wished to see the Crown Prince. It is my failing that I allowed him to remain. I shall execute him on the spot to set an example." "No need." The Crown Prince spoke coldly, his eyes flashing as they locked onto Wang Lin. "Tua Luo, kill him." The Crown Prince's voice rang out, and instantly, the colossal ancient demon beneath him, tens of thousands of feet tall, let out a thunderous roar. Its massive right claw suddenly rose, swiping down toward Wang Lin. From the look of it, it sought to seize Wang Lin in one grasp and crush him to pieces. Upon that claw, the razor-sharp talons seemed capable of tearing through the void itself, unraveling into several black threads that surged forward, carrying with them an overwhelming demonic aura, rushing straight for Wang Lin.